And in the little tiny, like, collect everything console under the stereo, there's a tie pin. There's an enamel tie pin. Yeah, this one doesn't have a little loop to go through, so it keeps getting messed up.
Okay, you need to
Yeah. Okay. And of course now, Gene, I'm thinking of Ginger because my tie's messed up. She didn't hear me.
Doesn't matter how much I like it, like, I still need to know.
What do you not have?
A tie pin.
Oh, tie pin.
Yeah. And I was telling Jean, I was saying, but you didn't hear me because you were reading. That now I'm thinking about Ginger because my tie's all messed up.
Oh.
She's messing with me right now. All the time.
So many little things.
Yeah. Yeah. I think often what she would think right now.
She's a friend.
She'd be a great source of support. I know that.
Come on, buddy. Come on, Mike.
Oh yeah. Perfect. And it's gay with the little black history. Huh? We start in 1 minute.
Yeah, but go this way.
Uno minuto. My broken Spanish. Huh? Oh, are you gonna make it go away?
You want the clock to totally go away? Is it bug you?
Oh my
it's
gosh, so bad.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll totally make it go away. You can hang it back up.
It's the autism.
I was just gonna,
Oh.
it bugs her that it ticks, it bugs me that the time isn't precisely right.
Yeah. For me, all I hear is tick, tick.
You have quite a few years ago, that doesn't matter anymore.
You know, that's what people tell me. I hope so. Cool.
Except you do miss sounds that you'd like to hear.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
problem with that.
I don't know. We have a deaf drummer at the other church that I work at. And he's he can't hear anything I say to him, but he can mostly stay on the beat.
It's the vibration.
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm drumming, he stays really good on
Loud
it.
music. They can dance to.
No, we're ready, but I'm still coffee. All right. Welcome. We decided to switch the order for a little bit from last week. That's what happens when you're on the ground floor starting something new. You get to be a part of working the bugs out. And we decided that the welcome speech should come before everything else, especially because I have a little note about the music in it. So, once again, for the two people that weren't here last week, I'll give my brief disclaimer that we are not UUA affiliated yet, but we are quickly on our way. We have opened a bank account. We've begun getting things together to file our 501c3. And as soon as we consistently have 30 of us here, which last week we had 26, we should be able to get affiliated pretty quickly. I am also not a UU minister yet, although I am having a better feeling all the time about the seminaries that I'm applying to and should be getting into one soon with a UU focus. So that's me. Here at Mountain Unitarian Universalist, we welcome everybody, and yes, we stole part of this from the Fresno Unitarian Church with their permission. We welcome you no matter your spiritual background or religious beliefs. Hi, Jen and Deb. Welcome. No matter your race or culture of origin, you are welcome here. No matter your age or neurodiversity, you are welcome here. Neurodiversity, or neurospicy, by the way, for those who don't know, means those who are not neurotypical. So those with ADHD, autism, really any sort of neurological difference, that's neurodiversity. Whatever your disability, you are welcome here. You are welcome with or without documentation. You are welcome with whatever level of formal education you have, and you are welcome if you are income secure, income insecure, or anywhere in between. We welcome to all who are lesbian, gay, straight, bi, trans, non-binary, gender fluid, intersex, queer, or questioning. You are welcome. All are welcome here. Todos son bienvenidos aquí. I think our spiritual mindset is actually best summed up in a joke that my dear friend Jean sent me this week. How many Unitarians does it take to change a light bulb? We choose not to make a statement either in favor of or against the need for a light bulb. However, if in your own journey you have found that light bulbs work for you, that is fine. Whether your light is bright, dull, or completely out, you are loved. You can be a light bulb, turnip bulb, or tulip bulb. You are invited to write a poem or compose a modern dance about your personal relationship with your light bulb and present it next month at our annual Light Bulb Sunday service, in which we will explore a number of light bulb traditions, including incandescent, fluorescent, three-way, long life, and tinted, all of which are equally valid paths to luminescence. Bring bulb of choice and a covered dish.
If we identify as a turnip, does the dish have to include turnips? I'm just clarifying. Okay. So how do I have to reverse my interpretive light
Can
bulb
I
dance?
sell a little spot on that?
Yes.
If you're on Facebook, there is a group called Unitarian Universalist Hysterical Society. Join that group and you'll
Yes.
smile every day.
Yes.
Yes.
Lots of
Multiple
fun.
times
Lots
a
of
day.
fun.
They post a lot.
Yes.
Smile, smile,
That's
smile.
Because forget, live, laugh, love. That's going on my wall.
Yes. In our services here, we encourage you at all times to use whatever language resonates with you when referring to the divine. I'm going to try in the music slides to offer alternative languages in area where a song or reading may say God, but you don't resonate with that word. Please use what word works for you, even if it doesn't rhyme or rhythmically fit. Meet with the holy, the mysterious, the divine, or higher power in any way that speaks to you. Now I have some announcements briefly. There was a mistake on the sermon slides that were playing earlier, the slides saying upcoming sermons. Our last sermon at the end of March will actually be titled Firing the God of Your Childhood. And that will be a message more about how we connect with God now versus how some of us may have had problematic relationships with God or the divine when we were young, or problematic cultural relationships with the divine. Chris will have an announcement later about donations. And I also have an announcement that when it comes time for the financial talk, you will see that we have a phone now and a phone number specifically for us. And we are soon, very soon, to have a logo and then business cards.
Phone numbers on your program.
Oh, great. All right, and we will start with our opening song, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. If you were here last week, you already have a head start on knowing it. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the do to others, and this is one of the songs in which I've provided an alternate word. So you can say we are marching in the light of God, or we are marching in the light of love, as it was sung often in marriage equality protest in the early 2000s. And the Zulu translation actually is a dual translation. Depending on the way that the verb is used, it can actually mean God or love. And I translated the Spanish translation, although I may not have conjugated the verb correctly. We'll see how it goes for those who speak Spanish. Okay. We are marching in the light of love. We are marching in the light of love. We are marching in the light of God. We are marching in the light of love. We are marching, we are marching, we are marching in the light of love. We are marching, we are marching, we are marching in the light of God. Here's another new language. They cooking and quinkos. See a humbe cooking and quinkos. See a humbe cooking and quinkos. See a humbe cooking and quinkos. See a humba, see a humba, see a humbe cooking and quinkos. See a humba, see a humba, see a humbe cooking and quinkos. En español. Caminando en la luz de amor, caminando en la luz de amor, caminando en la luz de Dios, caminando en la luz de amor, caminando, caminando, caminando en la luz de amor, caminando, caminando, caminando in the luz de Dios. Back to English. We are marching in the light of love. 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 We are marching, we are marching, we are marching in the light of love. We are marching, we are marching, we are marching in the light of love. And now I will turn it over to Chris for her What Is You Used To.
Okay, all right.
Sit over here for
Yeah, all right. So I am learning PowerPoint. Teresa does all kinds of spiffy stuff with it, so I thought I'd try and see what I could do. This is my attempt.
Can you
with
guys see the PowerPoint? On Zoom?
Oh, on
Okay.
Zoom. Okay. All right. I'm like, okay. All right. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit today about the 7 principles. So first, I'm just going to have you think about what makes the world a better place, in your opinion. Kylie, would you go shut the door since we've got sirens? Okay. Is it maybe kindness, or justice, respect? Is there something else that you think makes the world a better place? So in Unitarian Universalism, the 7 principles can be pretty much summed up, and I thought this was sort of an interesting way to do it. It's the first time I'd seen it done this way, into how we treat each other and how we treat the world. So that's what we'll talk about here. Let's see here. What do I have? So the first principle is every person has inherent worth. And then we've also got the second, which is we seek justice and equity and compassion. The sixth principle is about working for a peaceful and just world. So at the heart of Unitarian Universalism is the belief in the inherent dignity of every person. This means treating others with compassion, striving for fairness, and working for peace. These principles challenge us to take action, whether it's standing up against discrimination, lending a helping hand, or simply practicing everyday kindness, which is my personal favorite. All right, so there's also how we see the bigger picture. So the third principle encourages growth and learning. The fourth principle is about the search for truth and meaning. The fifth one is about how everyone deserves a voice. And you might be kind of, noticing some themes to that whole light bulb joke earlier. And seventh principle, we're all connected in a vast web of existence. So these principles remind us we're learners, seekers, and part of a larger whole. Whether it's through personal growth, honoring diverse perspectives, or recognizing our deep connection to the world around us, these values guide us toward a more thoughtful and inclusive life. Many Unitarian Universalists have embraced an additional principle, and I've been kind of following this, and I think we'll see this added to the official 7 principles of UU, which were kind of the basic. I believe those have been since 1960 something, when UU became its own separate organization. Is the 8th principle. We commit to dismantling racism and oppression in ourselves and society. It pushes us to go beyond the ideal of justice by actively confronting and dismantling racism and oppression. This principle challenges us to move from mere intention to concrete action, like in our last song, and asking us to reflect on our own biases and take steps to create a more equitable community. Let's see. So think about one small step you might take to address inequality or injustice in your life. Each of these principles holds its own importance, yet different ones resonate with us at different times. So I invite you to take a moment to reflect internally. Which principle speaks to you the most today and why? For example, when people ask me about Unitarian Universalism, my favorite principle is the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And that's the one that I can off the top of my head can reel out, because to me that sums up a lot of what my passions are with helping homeless people and LGBTQ rights and support, which are two of kind of my top priorities in my life right now, and of course disabilities as well. So I love that principle. That's my favorite. So we can talk more about the 7 principles over coffee after the service. And these principles aren't merely words on a page. They are calls to action. As you leave here today, I encourage you to let these values serve as a personal compass, guiding your decisions and actions, whether through small acts of kindness or standing up for justice. Reflect on how you can integrate these principles into your life and help build a better world. And thank you for joining me on that journey. I'm going to do the chiming bowl. And chiming bowl is one of the jobs that I'm hoping I can get a volunteer for in the future. I bet I can. We light this chalice to ignite the divine spark of the universe, whose pronouns have always been plural, a co-creation of brilliance and diversity, a tapestry of souls perfected. I think I have slides for all of that too. Oh, there you go. Okay. All right, I think it's time for another song.
Yep.
All right, this is you, Teresa.
So, depending on your prior faith tradition, if you had one, you might have originally learned this song, Woke Up This Morning with My Mind Stayed on Jesus. However, it was not originally written that way. It was originally written, Woke Up This Morning with My Mind Stayed on Freedom. And it was a part of the songs sung during protest and civil rights marches with Martin Luther King. So that is the version we're going to sing this morning. as we speak about justice. But again, use whatever word resonates with you.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Crooked.
Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Yes, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Yes, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, walking and talking with my mind, stayed on freedom. Yes, I'm walking and talking with my mind, stayed on freedom. Oh, I'm walking and talking with my mind, stayed on freedom. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh, I'm singing and marching with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Yes, I'm singing and marching with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Oh, I'm singing and marching with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. All right. And now we have our story for all ages. So let me grab our Slow Down Moments in Nature book. And we will be reading A Wolf Howls to His Pack. Nighttime is falling, but the wolves of this forest are just waking up. Known for their spine-tingling howls, wolves use their voices to communicate. A howl may mean a number of things. A call to ask a wolf pack to meet up, a signal to let the pack know a wolf's location, or a warning for others to stay away. Contrary to popular belief, a wolf howls on any given night, not just when the moon is full. So before you go to bed tonight, watch as the wolf calls out to his pack. Dusk has turned to night, and a young gray wolf has woken up slightly later than his pack. Barely visible on this misty evening, the moon still illuminates the forest floor. He makes a call out to his pack. Lifting his head high, he howls, "Awoo!" The sound travels far and wide across the valley below. Known to roam long distances, his pack hears his call and signals back. "Awoo!" calls the pack's mother in return. "Awoo!" Her other wolf cubs join in. "Awoo!" comes the chorus. Picking up their call, the young wolf heads off in their direction. Using his strong sense of smell, he soon locates his pack, and together they head into the dark night to find food. And that was our story for all ages today. And we'll see how that ties in later with the message. Now is time for our joys and concerns. Does anyone have a joy or concern they'd like to share with us this morning? Yes.
I would like to ask for prayer for my friend Julie, whose 42-year-old son died yesterday.
Oh dear.
Not expected, obviously.
Oh my goodness.
It's heartbreaking.
Yes.
Our friend Sherry Badeau had major shoulder surgery, and she is still experiencing such pain that she's not able to sleep.
Oof.
I was supposed to see her yesterday, and she called me and said, I think I'm finally going to fall asleep, so we'll talk tomorrow. So I'm worried about her pain.
Yeah. Please let us know if there's anything we can do to help either. Anyone else? Over there, any joys or concerns? No? Okay. All right.
I do have a joy.
Yes.
I am so grateful for all the people in this room, even ones I haven't met yet. And I got some really good news that my friends helped me with, emotionally supportive, that my benefits, my Medi-Cal that I desperately need, and my EBT will be reinstated within the next 2 weeks.
That is
And
an
I'm very
amazing
happy,
joy.
And I love all of you so
That
much.
is a fantastic joy. I actually have a joy that the fidget toys I bought are being used back there, which is just fantastic. That's what they're there for. All right, let us pray. Divine Presence, known by many names, source of all life, love, and wisdom. We come before you in gratitude and humility, holding in our hearts both joy and sorrow. For the moments of happiness, love, and connection, we give thanks. For laughter that lifts up our spirits, for kindness that brightens our days, for the beauty of creation that fills us with wonder, we are grateful. For the burdens we carry, seen and unseen, we seek comfort. For those who grieve, bring peace. For those who suffer, bring healing. For those who feel loss, bring guidance. Amen.
Okay, all right, and so now we're going to do a little meditation of centering. All right, so let's take a few minutes to settle in and get centered. I invite you to get as comfortable as you're able. You may want to stretch or adjust how you're seated or shake out some tension, whatever you need. Just try to give yourself a little bit more physical comfort if you can. And now I invite you to notice if it feels okay to pay attention to your body for a bit, to notice a place inside of you that feels like a center. And just breathe with your attention there if you'd like. You might notice the presence of love at this center. See if it's there and breathe into it. With each in-breath, notice love at the center. And then I invite you to notice the edge of the out-breath, noticing love at the center of each in-breath, and then noticing the outer edge of each breath as you release. Love at the center of the in-breath, and then notice the outer edge of each breath as you release. You might bring your attention to your own edges, finding a boundary that marks the edge of you. Perhaps it's your skin. Maybe it's a bubble of energy surrounding you. Perhaps it's somewhere inside, closer to your center. Wherever you find that boundary is okay. Breathing in and noticing the center. Breathing out and noticing the boundary. You can play with this practice, breathing. Notice what happens with your center and your edges as you stay with them and give them your attention. Sometimes they want to be big and spacious and roomy. Both needs are real and deserve our respect. As you attend to your center and your edges now, you might use your breath to help mark the boundary that is right-sized for this moment. And take a few breaths. And when you're ready, I invite you to come back to our shared space and to notice again who is here with you. Each of us an individual, with their own center and boundaries, each one part of this larger collection of beloved companions. All of us are part of the larger whole, with love at the center. And we're so glad you're here. All right. And then I have a responsive reading. You want to do that? Okay, great. Fabulous. All right. In the midst of a world where people hunger and thirst,
Come
Seek a love that feeds the hungry.
in the midst of a world where people are abused and oppressed,
Come seek a love that calls for compassion and justice.
in the midst of a world filled with wars and rumor of war,
Come seek a love that desires nothing less than peace for the world.
in the midst of a world of spiritual emptiness,
Come seek a love that gives life meaning. Come seek a power whose grace and love know no end.
I'll go grab you some more coffee.
No, I'm good.
You good?
I'll take
You
it.
sure? Okay.
All right. The title of this morning's message is Justice for All. And when Chris asked me for a title to put into the program, I sent Justice for All with a question mark. And she asked if the question mark was supposed to be there or if I was still determining what the title was. And the question mark was supposed to be there because it is a question in this day and age. What is justice? Webster Dictionary defines justice as just behavior or treatment, the quality of being fair and reasonable. So that led me to what is just. And what is just, according to Webster, is based on or behaving according to what is morally right and fair. Well, according to both definitions, it looks like justice is deciding what's fair. Well, gosh, that's simple, right? We should be able to figure that out. I mean, fairness and morality, they're very simple concepts. Of course, that's not at all why there's whole philosophy classes devoted to the interpretation of those ideas. Are there moral absolutes? I'm sure many of us at some point in a college class or on TV have contemplated the trolley problem. You know, the trolley heading towards a crowd of people that you don't know or one person that you do know, and you have the chance to pull the lever and who do you save? And it ultimately turns into a whole discussion that leads to there are no moral absolutes. And without a clear understanding of morality, can we fully understand justice? I don't know that we can, but I do know that somehow we know it when we see it. My wonderful wife, Chris, likes to believe that humans are mostly good. She manages to see the good in everybody. She's a very glass half full, maybe even quarter full when it comes to humanity.
3/4.
3/4, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. That's probably how she managed to marry me. I, however, tend to be a little bit more wary. I don't necessarily think that humans are inherently bad or anything. I just need a little bit more verification of the person's character first. The better the character, the closer I'm willing to get. That's probably how I managed to marry her. Yet regardless of how we see humanity, we both agree, as she said in the 7 principles, that we all have inherent worth and a right to exist and be treated decently. I believe that even the most evil, hateful person we could find does somewhere deep down know what is fair and what is right. They just are making the choice not to care. So whose definition of justice is right? We have some people in our society, even in our community, outside these doors. I doubt inside these doors. But we have some who believe that there are absolutes and that the law is always right and that those enforcing the law are always right. There are others who believe that that's not necessarily true, that some laws are unjust, that some people enforcing the law are unjust. All you have to do is watch the news, and sadly, we all too often see marginalized people being harassed by those who are supposed to enforce just laws. I found a quote, and for some reason the page cut off the first name of the person who said this, but it was a Baldwin, but not Alec Baldwin, it was a different Baldwin. If one really wishes to know how justice is administered in a country, one does not question the policemen, the lawyers, the judges, or the protected members of the middle class. One goes to the unprotected, those precisely who need the law's protection most, and listens to their testimony. Here in Oakhurst, we have a significant justice problem in dealing with the unhoused. We have law enforcement that sometimes likes to be a little too rough with them. I'll never forget a story on one particularly hot day when the sheriff was running them out of one encampment after another and just moseying them along down 41. And even telling them, you're not welcome here, I will walk you all the way to Madera if I have to. And it was in triple digits, and they were hot and they were thirsty. And they got to the Valero gas station, and the gas station owner came out and said, this is my private property, and they can stay here. Many of them were just trying to make their way to the Methodist church that at the time had a vibrant homeless program. And the Valero gas station owner allowed them to sit and rest and get water so that they could make their way the rest of the way to access the resource they needed. The one who was supposed to be enforcing justice in that time was unjust. And it was the Valero gas station attendant who offered the justice. So justice does not always come from the sources that we are taught we are to expect it to come from. And not everyone in this room is part of a marginalized group, although we are mostly women, and that is becoming an increasingly more marginalized group as time goes by. There are some of us in this room, though, who are of a different skin color than the group that has the power. There are some in this group that are LGBTQ. There are some in this group who struggle with a number of situations in which the justice system is not always on our side. But even for those who are not a part of a marginalized group, we must look back to the words that I read last week from Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects us all indirectly. So we can't just look at, oh, that's happening over there. In fact, I was invited to speak yesterday at the Yosemite Democrat meeting on how to best support LGBTQ youth during this time. And afterwards, there was a question and answer period, and a lot of people mentioned this is happening in this other state, and this is happening in this other state, and that's happening in that other state, and thank God we live in California. But we can't just rest on our laurels and say, thank God we live in California. Because it's traveling, and it can come here. And we need to not just take care of ourselves, but take care of those around us. And look for unjust things, because like I said, we know it when we see it. And figure out how we can help. Another thing that I said in my speech yesterday to the Democrat Club is, when we are reaching out to a marginalized person, especially one who's not maybe sharing in our own area of marginalization, we need to listen to them and their stories and how they want the help, not how we want to give it. Malcolm X says in his autobiography, "Truth does not change, only our awareness of it." The Black Lives Matter movement that we know today and the protests in the streets, many of which I had images of intermixed with some older civil rights movements during the We Are Marching song. The Black Lives Matter movement should have started way back in the day. In many ways did start way back during the Jim Crow era. When we started saying it out loud, unfortunately, people came out of the woodworks with all lives matter and blue lives matter. And yes, they do, but we are focusing on the lives that are being targeted right now and in this month. But we have to remember to ask how they want the help. My first experience with injustice at the hands of law enforcement came in my early 20s in Fresno. And I got pulled over for driving with a black man in my car. I didn't understand at the time what was happening. I was very naive. I had been taught that the police were the good guys. I'd grown up in Clovis. And I was driving down the street, and I'm in the driver's seat, and my white female friend is in the front passenger seat, and my other white female friend is in the back side, rear side of the driver's side. And my black male friend was in the passenger rear back seat. And we pulled up to a light, and a cop was to my left, and then he looked at my vehicle, and he pulled in behind me as I made my legal right-hand turn. That was an older car, and it had a lot of problems, and I gave the police officer the benefit of the doubt, and I thought maybe I had a tail light out or something. He didn't walk up to the driver's side as police officers often do. He didn't even walk up to the front passenger side as they often do in traffic. He walked up to the rear passenger side and just stood there. And I rolled down the window and I said, "Excuse me, officer, can I help you? Do you need my registration? Do you need my license?" And the officer said, "I'll be with you in a moment." And he stood there. As another cop car arrived, and another, and another. And then all of these police officers, two to a car, came up to my rear passenger side and asked my black male friend to get out of the vehicle. And when they took him out, they handcuffed him, and they sat him on the lawn, and they questioned him for a good 30, 45 minutes. Meanwhile, all of us girls in the vehicle, "Excuse me, officers, what are you doing? Why are you harassing our friend? What is going on? Why did you take him out of the car? What is happening? Please talk to us." Nothing. They put him in the vehicle and they said, "Have a nice night." And I said, "Oh, I don't think so." I was angry. I had all the righteous indignation one could muster. And I said, "I want to know what that was about." And the officer said, "When I pulled up beside you, it appeared that he was holding you three girls hostage." And I said, "He was sound asleep when you pulled up beside me. We'd been driving all night." He said, "Well, then when I got out of the vehicle, it looked like he was reaching for a gun." I said, "He was checking his seatbelt because this is an old car and the seatbelts sometimes unbuckle, and he was asleep." And so I asked him and my white friend to both check their seatbelts. They both reached in the same direction. "Well, that's what I saw." And I said, "Okay, even if that's what you saw, did you not figure it out for the 30 minutes we were asking you why you were harassing our friend instead of thanking you for saving our lives?" And at that moment, my black friend put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "Teresa, please, just drive away." Like he said. And I was like, "No, I want answers." And he said, "It's not the first time and it won't be the last time. And I don't have the energy right now. Let's go." and my whole worldview shattered. This was long before George Floyd, or the names are escaping me, any of the others. We could go on and on. This was in the late 90s, early 2000s. This was what shook my world view, where I was so innocent and thought there were good guys and bad guys and that the cops could be trusted. I went home and I begged to go down to file a report with Internal Affairs. I wanted justice for my friend. He wanted me to just leave it alone. He accepted our love and support. He accepted our righteous indignation that it was not right. He happily sat around at pizza later and ranted with us about the injustices of the world. But he didn't want to fight. And I learned in that moment that even though I felt wronged, he had been wronged greater. And it was his fight. And if he didn't want any part of it, then it wasn't my battle to go after. It's important when we see injustice that we speak up. But it's also important that we acknowledge the needs and the wants of the person who the injustice has happened to. Now, that can sound very hopeless. It can sound very political. In fact, one feedback that we got last week was that it was very political. And I recently heard a preacher on TikTok. You'll learn that I'm very obsessed with TikTok. I recently heard a preacher on TikTok say that they're struggling not to be political in their sermons these days because of what's going on in the world, and because preaching is inherently political. No matter what religious tradition you come from, Gandhi was political. Buddha was political. Jesus was political. Muhammad was political. They just all were standing on the side opposite of the politics of the day. And if we're to follow any of them, if we're to believe any of them, if we're to honor any ancient teachings, we too must stand for what's right. And I'll leave us with the words of hope from another political leader. The Dalai Lama says, "While people are often content to criticize and blame others for what goes wrong, surely we should at least attempt to put forward constructive ideas. One thing is for certain. Given human beings' love of truth, justice, peace, and freedom, creating a better, more compassionate world is a genuine possibility. There is potential there. Let it be."
Thank you very much, Teresa. Alright. So, this week we're going to try something a little different. Instead of making Teresa sing after she preaches, we're going to have a musical meditation. So, did you happen to find the picture? No, you didn't get the picture. Okay. So,
But I found that beautiful picture.
it is a lovely picture. So we'll meditate on this picture. I had a picture of Thomas Dorsey, who is the one that wrote the lyrics to the music to this song. The song is called Precious, Precious Lord, Take My Hand. And I chose it because it was a favorite of Dr. Martin Luther King. He often turned to this song for strength in his struggle for justice. It was written by Thomas Dorsey, as I mentioned, known as the father of gospel music, out of a deep personal loss. Over time, it became a song of resilience for the civil rights movement, offering comfort to those marching, protesting, and enduring hardship for the cause of justice. It was one of Dr. King's favorite hymns and was even played at his funeral. As we listen today, may its melody remind us of the perseverance, faith, and hope that continue to guide the work of justice. All right, that's you, Judy.
the most beautiful arrangement. I've heard of that song. That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So, as I shared last week, I think 501c3 should be completely transparent. And so, at least for the first few weeks, I will be sharing some financial details. And then we'll probably move that to about once a month, the details, but we'll say something else about giving. So our current expenses, monthly expenses have gone up just a smidge at $50 a month because we have added a phone. And we added it to our line to save some money, but that way we have a local number that people can call. We have a phone that people can use. In fact, the phone that we got for this group has already been used by a friend of ours to call around the rehab centers, needing to get into rehab, and have a message phone that's not mine or Chris's, so that we know what we're answering. Because we've been a message phone for quite some time for various things, and sometimes people call and they're looking for a Catherine, and Chris's legal name is Kathleen, and it gets very confusing. So we have a phone now, and that is the number, and we're doing good with that, yes, and we are using our church phone for good use to record, so we also don't have to use our private phones, so that is nice. We have raised the funds for our 501c3. Yay! So we should be doing that in the next few weeks, getting that all taken care of. But we have a bank account now, so the funds are nice and secure there in the bank account. And we have a treasurer now. Jen is managing all of that for us, and she has a handy dandy book, and she's waving at us on Zoom. And we still need to work on purchasing our CCLI before we ever go live on Facebook, but we are currently still picking old enough songs that it doesn't really matter. So, and that's where we are.
All right.
And we don't pass the plate is somewhere over there.
right
Oh,
over
okay. And just give if you feel so led.
Yeah, so in addition to just our regular offering, I did put a post on Facebook. If you would like to donate money specifically for the unhoused people that are moving into the supported housing, they're needing some extra money for deposit to get into the places. And I can tell you more about that afterward, but I'm collecting money orders for that as well.
Once they're in, there's programs to help them. It's just the initial moving cost.
All right. And so then with that, we'll go ahead and extinguish the chalice and do our benediction. All right. As we extinguish this chalice flame, may the warmth of its light remain with us, guiding our steps and our hearts. Let us carry forward the strength of this community, the courage to speak truth, and the hope that transformation is possible. In each breath we take, may we remember that the work of love, justice, and healing is ours to continue, both here and beyond these walls. Go in peace with the light of this gathering to illuminate your way. Your benediction.
I have a benediction for us before our closing song. I actually remembered to bring one this week. O source of truth and light, called by many names and known in many ways, we gather as one people united in our longing for justice. From the wisdom of our traditions, we hear the call to love mercy and walk humbly, to stand with the oppressed and lift the brokenhearted, to seek righteousness and repair the world. Bless us with the courage to speak truth in the face of injustice. Strengthen our hands to build a world where dignity is honored, where no one is cast aside, where justice flows like a mighty river. May we be instruments of peace, defenders of the vulnerable, and voices for those unheard. May our hearts remain open, our minds clear, and our actions guided by compassion and wisdom. As we depart, may the divine spark within each of us burn ever brighter, leading us toward a future where love and justice embrace. And may peace be upon us all. Amen, Amin, Shalom, Om Shanti, Tikkun Olam. May it be so. And we have a very fun closing song. It's called Woyaya. It translates to "We Are Going." We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going. But we know it. And we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. But we know within. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, there's no birthday cake today. I should have changed that slide.
Donut holes and crackers with peanut butter.
Okay, I was wishful thinking birthday cake, I think. Please join us for snacks.